Greetings, friends. It's me, Wayman, and I want to come on and talk about a few books that I've been reading and getting into on Greek religion. Three of them would be one called Greek Myths and Mesopotamia uh, by Charles Penglaze. So I'll post links to this. But this book, Greek Myths and Mesopotamia, was pretty good in that a lot of times comparisons are done to, say, Jewish literature, Christian literature, but a lot of the times authors forget to compare them to each other. And I know Campbell, he would go through and use a whole bunch of themes all over the place, which I kind of liked, but some of his books were written with other myths and themes, motifs, and belief systems compared to Christianity. And I think that a lot of times that happens because a lot of those authors are more familiar with themes in Christianity and think about it more and then do the comparisons more. But Greek myths, Mesopotamia, switched it around and was comparing myths out of the ancient Near East to Greek myths, which was kind of refreshing. This isn't very advanced. Mainly, the difference between books is you get a book that has a lot of information packed into it. A book that isn't all that advanced assumes the reader isn't familiar with the literature, so they do a lot of reviewing. So in this book, Greek Myths and Mesopotamia, there's a lot of reviewing. So if you've read the Homeric epics, if you've read ancient Near Eastern literature, like Inanna, Descent of Ishtar, and things like that, you will be familiar with a lot of the reviews that he covers in this book. So you can skip all that. So you can burn through this book pretty fast and get the themes. And he talks about Inanna, Ninurta, and then Homeric hymn to Apollo, which was excellent, and Homeric hymn to Demeter. Now you can get these Homeric hymns for free. There's a good translation by Evelyn White, free online. It's even an EPUB format. You can download it to your little e-reader, and you can read it. And another good book, which you find in a lot of bibliographies in the back, is called Greek Religion by Walter Burkert. He has a couple books on Greek religion and ritual. And here, he doesn't get into the tragedies a whole lot, but he does get into Greek epics and the rituals of Greek religion, which is pretty good. So we got libations, prayers. Then he covers some of the gods, some of the mystery cults, and rituals on death, which is great. So this book has no literature reference into it, meaning he doesn't regurgitate a lot of the translations and literature, because he already assumes that the reader has the reader has read the epics, has read the Homeric hymns, and a little bit of the tragedies. He makes mention of them, but he doesn't go into covering the tragedies, pulling themes rather than going over whole text and rehashing things. So this is a pretty thick book, lots of notes in it. Joseph Campbell makes a joke that if you need a lot of notes, you have to convince people you know what you're talking about. But I like notes because I can go back in here and read some of the books that he used to get his material from if I want to look it up. So, you know, on the death rituals and things, I could go into that chapter and maybe find some really good information on that. And also Robert Graves' Greek mythology. So I'm halfway through. So I finished ancient Greeks in Mesopotamia. Getting into the Greek religion book. Had these started, but have not got into it. A lot of other books came up. It was a great year. I wanted to read the Steve Jobs bio. Got that done. Also, some analytical psychology books on Hesiod, which is pretty interesting. It was from the Freudian view, so it wasn't necessarily from the stuff that I enjoy from Jung. So the whole thing about the theogony, you know, it was all sexual, you know, because it was from the Freudian point of view. So I didn't really enjoy it all that much, that book, but I'll post a link to it below, so maybe you can take a look at it. But I like multiple views, which is pretty interesting. So it was okay, but it wasn't dynamite, you know. So that's the difference between good books and mediocre books. So I guess that what I'm saying is that if you get a book, and sometimes I found this in those little books by the Christian authors, Crossan and who's the other one? Boyd. They do this a lot. So they assume the reader hasn't read any of the literature, and they rehash it all. So then once you pick out what they're doing and the format or the layout of the writing, mainly you could just go to the end of every paragraph, get their main idea and take on it, and you have pretty much an understanding of it. However, you feel like you're wasting money because you got a book full of rehashing and reviewing before they make the points, and that bugs the heck out of me. So you can blow through a lot of books that way, just skipping the reviewing of the text and getting right to the meat of the thing, rather than sitting there wasting your time. However, if you really enjoy doing that sort of thing and you really like the author, you may sit there and read through it. But I really like the meaty books. And even in a lot of these debates on whether ritual came first or the stories, or whether a belief system, mythology is real or not, or whether something was influenced by something else. What's interesting, if somebody says to me, well, so-and-so says, see, that's the thing. A lot of times if they go there first, then they haven't read the literature. And it's kind of disappointing because now you're not having a conversation on literature. You're having a conversation on commentary. So I try to catch myself doing that also, because I would rather say to a person, well, so-and-so's take on it was this, but this is what Hesiod had to say about it, and this is so-and-so's take on it. So, like some people will come up to me and be like, well, Joseph Campbell said this and this and this. I don't care what Campbell said. I enjoy what Campbell said. But Campbell is commentary, and that is Campbell's ideas about how all these things are formed and put together in his mind, and he gives it to you. But you have to read the ancient literature first. Whether they be translations or whatever, you can't be expected to know all the languages or whatever. But read the translations first and the literature first. Herodotus, Wars of the Jews by Josephus, biblical literature, all that stuff. Plutarch, the Homeric hymns, the Aeneid, Odyssey, the tragedies, the comedies, all of that. Then you have a really good base. So when you get into some of these meatier books where they're putting things together, comparing and contrasting as commentary, you can have your aha moments. And you don't have to waste your time rehashing everything. And so that's what I really enjoy by Walter Burkett. He does that. The thing that I did not really care for, and I think that he really didn't take time to consider in his book Greek Religion, is that format of what came first. Like he's saying that maybe the ritual came first. However, when I read something out of Native Americanism in the Native Americans, especially from the Sioux tribe of Black Elk Speaks, which is a classic. Maybe some of you have read that in high school. He has the dream. He has the dream. And he brings it back to the people, and he puts it on display in ritual format with different elements that they were familiar with, but it tells the community a story, and it allows them to participate in that symbolic story. So the experience can be transferred and they too can participate. So that's why I think that through views of the deity, maybe some theological ideas, dreams, metaphorical interpretations, ended up becoming intermixed and diffused in what was already there. These maybe what the culture was familiar with in some other ritualistic form that was already present, and certain elements of that are picked up and put together, and some newer elements are inserted, it's changed around, and it's expressed in the performance. So that's where I think Walter Burkett maybe could have done a little bit better on, but however, I plan on getting through this book. I started at the beginning of the year. I read some chapters here and there, but I'm going to start reading it over again because I forgot a lot of the things, and so hopefully I can get through this within the next couple days. Try my best, been kind of busy, so that's what I've been up to. And once I get through this Greek religion stuff, hopefully I can get back into more biblical literature. So remember, there's no such thing as pure culture. No such thing as pure culture. Take care, friends, and remember, if everybody's thinking alike, then somebody isn't thinking.